has a chance or not. Polling wise, I haven't seen much polling on this actually, so I don't even know where he ranks in all of this.
The things we've been talking about this a lot because of the governor's race.
Yeah.
And we have all these problems in California. We talk about high-speed rail, all the fraud that's going on, the fire danger that we have down here in LA. Who's running the state? We've been very critical of our current governor. When we look at this field, we go, does anybody care if any of these people can do the job? And I just,
California is a unique animal in that I don't think anybody does run our state. We've created a system with so many independent commissions and bureaucracies and given them such power through legislation. So thank you, blue legislators, that they are the ones running the state. And so that's why we get whiplash effects back and forth between these different commissions and what they want to do. And how much control does the governor really have over those? In reality, very little. Very little. So think CPUC, think, Air Board, all of those, CAR, for instance, very little control by the governor.
and that's what's kind of frustrating to me, as I watch, say, the governor's race, and they're talking about, mostly they hate Trump, and I go, yeah, but can you run a city? And that's, and nobody ever asks them that. It's just like, all you have to do is hate the other side to get elected, instead of actually having some kind of qualification about leadership and ability to do things.
And a plan, right? And a plan. So we heard from the one candidate, her plan is to defund public safety. Oh boy.
Right.
I'd move out of LA right away. Wow, what are you saying? Not just to your residents, we don't care how safe you are, but also, hey, don't bother applying if you want to be a police officer here, because we're not going to fund you. And what does that mean? Well, the good ones are going to go to other places. So they're going to end up with bad officers, which is why we get weird things like the Rampart scandal and things like that through the years.
Now, what's the difference between running LA and Wheeling? Just to have a bunch of zeros?
I was at one time the deputy city manager for the city of Fresno, right? A city much, much, much larger than Reedley. And what I found in stepping into the city manager role in a small city is it's actually very much hard to the city manager. And so it feels much closer to the public than a bigger city. I think in LA, boy, that's Fresno many times over. So think of how you can get away.
Here for the first time in nearly 20 years, DMJ's Liz Kern.
Mayor Jerry Dyer making the big announcement.
We have a 5-year contract. Now let's go sell out Stellan Arena. So the Falcons will...
They're looking for local employees to work there and local businesses for partnerships. And they announced that season ticket memberships are
Tradition, technology, and family fun, bringing generations together. That's the challenge of the Larry County Fair. 1946 was a 40th celebration
who wants to play Who Wants My Lane? No contestants on the left. Let's see if we have anyone on the right. It's oh, looks like we got one. Ooh, red light runner.
It's not sustainable, people. I mean, we keep paying bills. We keep our taxes go up every year. I mean, we're a sanctuary state. We're a sanctuary city. So where do we go from here? Just bend over? I think they're already doing that.
Well, here's the thing, Bill. I think, things kind of go in cycles. I don't think California will keep going this way forever because I think you're right. It's not sustainable. And I do think, as Christina says, the bus will head off the road here one of these days. Will it be this election? Maybe, maybe not. I don't have a lot of high hopes. But I do see signs that people are getting frustrated with the way things are. And exactly how this is going to play out, I'm not sure. But I think it will play out.
I'm just going to get on my soapbox just for a second, so bear with me, everyone. I think that Republicans in the state have been made to feel like your vote doesn't matter and it doesn't count. And I think in doing that, Democrats have convinced us of that. And they've made us, persona non grata. We're not showing up. I think that we need to show up to vote. I think that we need to have a strategy. Even though the two candidates running for governor may not have that same strategy, I think we need to help them. We need to get the two of them into the top two for the governor's race. And every Republican out there needs to vote. You need to split your votes. If you're in a household of two, you need to have one person vote for one and one person vote for another. I think that Republicans, you've been sold a bill of goods that is no good. You've been made to feel like you don't matter, and you do matter. I think that if we could all show up to vote, we would have impact. But it's getting everybody who would have to vote, though. Everybody has to vote. So that's my take on this. Vote. That's it.
Yeah, I think people will want to get out and vote. But here again, when we have a mail-in ballot, I mean, come on, Pelosi's daughter, whatever she is on, and she says, well, I'm going out to collect votes today. I need 100 votes to put my candidate over the Holocaust that he wins. And guess what? She goes out and gets 150 votes, and she has 50 votes for her cushion. And that's a month and a half after the federal election.
Well, look at them. We've expressed our dissatisfaction with a lot of this stuff too. But I mean, this is the way it is. This is the system we have. We've got to learn how to win with whatever system we have because we can't change it here.
I loved the governor. What was it? 2 days ago when he sent that letter to the county elections offices. It is California rules and regulations that slow down our counting process. You are the problem, and you're asking these people to go against basically law. They have to wait like 7 days after election day to receive any and all ballots marked stamped on election day. Then they've got to go through the process of all of those, and that takes days and days and days. And you're asking them to speed things up. They can't. Your rules and regulations don't let them. I laugh at this. Is all laughable to me. It's all just a game. It's a show. It's theatrics. Everything. And so just Republicans vote. That's all I can say.
Well, I think, change starts with frustration like Bill has. And a lot of us have. And
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for years. We've had this frustration in California. Why do we... Right? have this kind of playing out in LA. You have Spencer Pratt, who was the victim of this fire. He saw incompetence all around him. He saw these reservoirs being empty. He saw fire hydrants didn't work. He saw firemen that came. They didn't have enough people. They didn't have enough fire trucks. Everything around him didn't make sense. So he jumped into the mayor's race.
Well,
right?
you know, it didn't make sense, so he started looking into it and investigating and getting answers. Yeah, and then he said the only way to fix this is from within, and I've got to run for mayor. Right now, he's polling at 11%. This is the thing that's really interesting is the latest poll that came out in this is the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs poll. Karen Bass, shockingly, has 25%. 25% of people going to vote for this woman. She doesn't know what the heck she's doing. And Spencer Pratt's next at 11%. You got this city council member at 9%. But you have 40% of people in LA undecided. So that's who Spencer Pratt's speaking to.
He's
So
got a big hill to climb.
He's
yeah.
got a big hill to climb. They had a debate last night on NBC4 in Los Angeles. And I will say this. The one thing that Spencer Pratt does is he's not trying to spin anything. He's talking
mad.
straight.
He's
He's
mad.
mad, and he's talking straight, and he's bringing up facts. And so last night you talked about the wildfires. This is clearly the issue that got him to jump into this race. He knows a lot.
Mayor Karen Bass is 1,000 firefighters. There was no engines for them because of the $17 million that Chief Crowley had asked the mayor for 9 weeks before, and Mayor Karen Bass denied it. So they may have been available, but they didn't have the equipment they needed. Not to mention Janice Quinones, who Mayor Karen Bass put into a position of power at the LADWP. She drained both of these reservoirs that these firefighters needed to put out these fires. And he's saying several things that are completely inaccurate. First of all, there was one reservoir that was out of commission. He is correct. 1 million years ago, it was for wildfires, but over the last 30, 40 years, it's been for drinking water. He talked about the winds. That is just completely inaccurate. If that were accurate, then the planes would have been able to fly. So she's an incredible liar. Everyone on their phones, Google it. 40 weather stations in the Pacific Palisades. It never went above 40 miles per hour. She's referencing
I have to interrupt you. No name calling, please.
So is that name
No
calling?
name calling, please.
If
Calling her
somebody
a
lies
liar?
and you call them a liar, or is that name calling?
Well, it looks, if they've done a simple check, it looks like she is a liar on this one. And Spencer Pratt's point is he's accused the mayor, the narrative was hurricane strength winds. Couldn't get planes in the air. But data from dozens of weather stations show that the wind speeds never exceeded 40 miles per hour. In fact, the average wind speed was, listen to this, I didn't even know this, I had to look it up, 16 miles per hour was the average wind speed amongst those 40 weather centers.
Well, here's the thing, because people might be confused about this, because there were horrific winds in Southern California.
There were.
This whole emergency came about because of high winds, more than 16 miles an hour. But Pacific, I'm not really sure, but Pacific Palisades, I think, might have been protected where they are located. When you had the Altadena fire, they get up in those mountain passes and that wind comes whistling through there. Those were horrific winds. And the winds over LA were bigger, but I think Palisades might have been protected down there a little more than other places.
Well, and so
Right?
his question is why weren't there planes in the air? And this is his point. His point is that when it comes to this stuff, they'll just say hurricane force winds. That's it, hurricane force winds. They won't acknowledge that these, weather stations, 89% of the local weather stations reported sustained winds below 30 miles per hour. In fact, the average was just 16.77 miles per hour. And so the point that he's trying to make is you're saying hurricane force winds, and they weren't.
They were somewhere else.
They were those were somewhere else, maybe, right? Like you say, maybe not in the Palisades. So stop saying that, because it's not true.
Well, here's the problem I have, and I think it maybe goes to like our governor's debate, this LA debate. We all use kind of the same formula. You get these candidates up there, you have these rules. We're going to give you a minute to respond. You get 30 seconds to fire back. All these rules you have, and the length of the debate.